going on, folks? Today we're going to talk some Guardians baseball. A lot of people call them the Indians. I still call them the Indians. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in our guests and we're going to get this show rolling tonight. Big win today. We'll talk about it. First, we're going to bring in Mark first.
Mark, how's it going, buddy? Good evening.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So what was it like to call opening day? Was this an exciting moment?
Yeah, it was always exciting. It was just certainly in the 90s, first year at Jacobs Field, and then of course all the the World Series teams and the AL champions and the consecutive sellouts. There was always that excitement around the ballpark, and I remember my first game ever there. Had to go rent a tuxedo, introduce President Clinton throughout the first pitch. So doing that opening day was always special. Even as a kid growing up in the old Cleveland Stadium, was always exciting. My dad and I would always go to opening day, and you'd have 80,000 people in that old stadium, and the next day you'd have 2,000. So opening day was kind of like the World Series.
Next, we're going to bring in a returning guest. Always welcome here, Mr. John. How are you tonight, sir?
What's up? Thanks for having me. Doing pretty good. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. Like I said before the show, before you came on, big win today, 4-0. Always good to win on a home opening day. Yeah, and not sure where it went to. He got up and started walking around. Oh, there he is. We'll bring in our next guest. You're on mute, Quinn. You're on mute.
Yep. Sorry, I'm having an internet issue I was trying to solve, so I think I got it solved now. Hey, thanks for having me in.
Yes, sir. So, what are your guys' any memories on opening day, real quick, before we dive into this, John?
I unfortunately never been to an opening day at the stadium, at least. So I don't have too many memories. I love opening day because baseball's starting and summer's coming, and that's about it. But I never went to a game. Hopefully soon I will be. One of these years coming up.
I've been to 2 opening days, 2 home openers, and it's always special, but I wish that I could have gone to one that was as warm as today, because both of the ones that I've been to have been extremely cold. But they won one and lost one, and it's just always fun to have everybody back at the yard. And like John said, just that summer's coming, things are getting better as far as weather goes, and you get to see baseball every day.
Mark, real quick.
I still go back to the 94 opening day at Jacobs Field, the first ever game, and to be able to announce that game, went extra innings. Randy Johnson on the hill for Seattle, and it was a tight game the whole way. And Wayne Kirby sent us home happy in extra innings. So that was one that'll always stick in my mind.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
Probably, with 94. Wow. Okay, that's
I think it sticks in everyone's mind.
30 years ago already.
Yeah,
it makes me feel very old.
I was just thinking about it. I'm like, man, I was like 14, 15 years old, maybe.
Yeah. Makes me feel very old. Yeah, it seems like yesterday. But 30 years ago at the opener at Jacobs Field.
That's crazy. So should we start right off the bat? And brutal injury. Me and John were talking about it for a couple texts back and forth. What do we got to do to recover from this? McKenzie stepped up his game today. His home opener. Who would you look into? Would you bring Bauer back at all? Any thoughts?
I think I was just going to say, I think that any talk of bringing Bauer back, you just have to remember how he left. And despite whatever else you might want to think about him, they're not going to basically slap Tito in the face by bringing back a guy who tossed the ball in the fountain his last start here, which nobody's ever done in the history of baseball. That's like a real slap in the face to your manager. So that's just not going to happen. They're not going to do that.
I was just curious. I mean, he is on that 5-day contract, and he loads something. I don't remember where. But John or Mark, what were your thoughts?
It's I personally, I think they're going to just continue to promote from within, just like they did last year. And I think if there is a strength, it's always that we've got a plethora of pitching, and they'll find a way to to bring somebody up, get some innings like we saw last year numerous times from guys you never really even heard of, and came in, did the job. But what an unfortunate, I mean, Bieber was just mowing them down through the first two starts. And, that's kind of a punch to the gut, but you can see how the team's responded since that news. And, it's good to get a win today, even though it's against the White Sox. I mean, you look at the standings already, the White Sox are 7 games out of first place already at 1-9. But
yeah,
good recipe for starting the season strong.
They're on a massive rebuild again, and I don't understand.
Yeah,
this is their second rebuild in like 5 years,
and they're spending the most in the division. But I looked at that today when I was looking at the preview. I was like, "Whoa, they're 1-8." I didn't know that, but the Bieber news was pretty tough to get that. Like Mark said, he had 20 strikeouts in 2 games and was doing pretty good.
From what he said, I don't know if you saw that. He mentioned that he just was falling back in love with the pitching again.
Yeah, he was pretty emotional at the press conference today. But it was tough news. But I guess they're kind of used to it. We went through this last year. We lost McKenzie. He only pitched like 16 innings or whatever it was, and Bieber only pitched half a year. So, like Mark said, we'll have to bring some guys from the minor leagues and see what they got.
McKenzie, that was good to see him. I don't know if he had his best stuff today, but at least he worked through 5+ innings. And, they were talking about it. Hammy was talking about it on the air. Last year he chose not to have surgery. He chose to just give it rest. And so is he 100%? I don't know. Is there something else hanging out there? But they have to have a good, strong season from McKenzie this year if they want to hang in there. So be interesting to see how that happens. The other part of it is, how about the bullpen? Bullpen, they were talking about it in the podcast today. This is the best. What's that?
They're 4th in the division or in the league right now out of the bullpen. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, that's the best an Indians bullpen has been. Start the season since 1974 or 75. Jim Bibby, Jim Kern, LaRoche, all those guys back in the day. When I was under 10 years old, I remember those guys, and they stunk. The Indians stunk as a team back then, and I don't know how the bullpen was that good.
Do they need to call in Vaughn? I got the jersey ready.
Vaughn, juvenile delinquent in the season. Yeah,
I think Mark is on target as far as what I can see. I think that they're going to look a lot at guys they have on hand, and Ben Lively is kind of an interesting guy that you could see the Guardians do some work with because he has an interesting repertoire. There's some small tweaks that they seem to be making with him in spring training where he should be a pretty serviceable starter. And so if you can get that kind of thing from Lively, I don't know if they might consider stretching Tyler Beatty, who's looked great in relief. They might consider stretching him back out as a starter. Even Xavier Curry, who's probably a solid 5th starter. If they can put together decent starts from there for a while, then you give some guys that are further down the minors a chance to break out and show you that, oh, hey, maybe they're special talents. So you're waiting on Joey Cantillo to come back from a hamstring injury. He's got special stuff, so maybe he's a guy that could break out. But then there's a couple other guys like Doug Nikhazy, who had a great first start in Akron, and Parker Messick had a great first start in Lake County. What you basically want somebody in there to just kind of really take a league by storm and force their way onto the major league roster and start looking like what Shane Bieber did his first year, for example. Now, there isn't a Shane Bieber right now in the minor league system. One would have to just appear. They're all kind of different pitchers, but I do think there are some guys that could break out.
What about Curry?
Oh, I couldn't hear you. You cut out.
I said, what about Curry?
Yeah, I think that, in my opinion, Mark or John, I don't know if you have thoughts on it. In my opinion, Xavier Curry's a great guy to have as your fifth starter, a guy who will come in there and give you the best chance that they can. He doesn't quite have the stuff where I want him to be my fifth starter unless he has to be. He's more kind of guy that you can go to when you need to, and he's absolutely going to give you his best. And that's a really valuable player, as we saw last year, but not somebody I want necessarily starting for me every fifth day if I have other options.
I think it's going to put a lot more pressure on the rest of the starting five. So, all the guys that were lined up, as the 2, 3, 4, 5, now it's going to put even more pressure on them to come out and perform, especially a guy like Carrasco. So, they're going to have to find lightning in a bottle there, either through a trade and, and they're not going to go out and trade for someone's number one. I get that. They're just going to have to find somebody that's, maybe a reclamation project or, something of that sort, probably to come in and give some innings as well.
Yeah, I think you've seen a lot of people. I don't know, if you've seen online people talking about Paul Blackburn of the Oakland Athletics. And that's the kind of guy that you're talking about, Mark. Not necessarily a reclamation project, but not somebody who's necessarily an ace, but somebody who is an established number 3 guy who the Guardians tend to get the most out of. So I think, unfortunately, the Guardians and the Oakland Athletics, Paul Blackburn plays for the Oakland Athletics, they haven't had much chemistry lately in trades. But if they could pull something like that off, where Oakland is basically they trade anybody who's not nailed down, then I could see something like that happening if the opportunity arises. And I don't know, Jesus Luzardo from the Marlins is probably the most exciting guy who's potentially available, and it's been rumored that they'll consider trading him because they've obviously started the season about as badly as the White Sox have. And the Marlins and the Guardians have pretty good chemistry, so I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think Curry's going to have to eat up some innings when he gets back, but I like that idea of Lively as well. So I don't know. And then, like Quincy said, when the minor league guys get a little more time under their hands, someone's going to have to step up. As far as trades, I'm not 100% sure who's out there. It's pretty early, but yeah, I guess we could work with one of those teams that are tanking or already, 1-8, like the White Sox.
That weren't signed guys. Look at Julio Urias, Noah Syndergaard said he's willing to go to the bullpen to eat up innings. Zach Greinke, who totally did not have anything last year, or even Johnny Cueto, any of them 3 guys.
Yeah, I just think they have their guys like that in Lively and Beatty. I don't think anybody there is going to provide you much more. Lively and Beatty both have pretty extensive experience as starters in the majors in their past. So I think if they wanted to try a veteran option in that role, they have those guys on hand to give them a shot, and who are probably going to provide you about as much as those other guys.
And they already have Carrasco, who's kind of like that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, Carrasco is the same way. Mm-hmm.
What are we expecting out of Carrasco this year? Anything?
Hopefully more than 3 innings.
I mean, 5. If he goes 5, I think we should all probably feel really blessed because that's about all it's going to be. I think
he pitched Saturday. He pitched Saturday. There's 3 innings. I mean, he didn't give up. Or would he give up 1 run? Mm-hmm. But I mean, he had 70 pitches in 3 innings or whatever it was. So you know,
Yeah.
he's like 38 as well. I mean,
I was gonna say he's not a young buck anymore.
no,
He's not a young rookie, you know.
I love the
Yeah,
guy.
and he's throwing like 90 miles an hour with his fastball. It's just very hard to control with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
Mark
So
McGwire.
they might have to find 2 more pitchers by the time it's all said. Well, by the time it's all said and done, who knows? But in the near future, there might be 2 guys they might have to replace.
I'd like to be the Uber driver from Cleveland to Columbus this year.
Yeah. And I do think we should expect Gavin Williams hopefully to come back and hopefully he'll take some steps forward. That would be big for the team. You know, it's always scary when you hear anything about elbow, but everything I've heard says that what happened with him was something that can happen with anybody using, you know, that workout. That can happen. So they're not particularly alarmed that he's going to have surgery. It's just the process of building him back up. So him coming back would be a big deal, and him taking a step forward would also be a big deal because he's obviously got the stuff to be kind of a dominant starter if he can figure it out. So,
Yeah.
I hate to throw it out there, but Dolan's going to have to spend a little bit of money. They're going to have to go at some point, go find somebody. And, you know, he can't go even cheaper. He's got to go out and spend some money. Make a trade, absorb a salary, whatever it is. I mean, if you want to, you want to play, you want to be in the race, you got to go invest a little bit.
We're starting to pull away this early in the Central.
And you know,
it's a weaker division. We all know that.
Yeah, the division stinks. So AL Central stinks and the NL Central stinks. So, I mean, you should. There's no reason why they can't be in it the whole year.
Yeah, especially with the hot
start. The Buckeyes beat up on the Tigers today, so
that's right. Hey, I have money on the. I went to the casino and FanDuel, and I put a little on the Pirates to win the division. And everybody around here laughed at me in Pittsburgh, but they've got some young kids that can play. And, you know,
O'Neal Cruz,
stud. Yeah. So until they trade them, they got, you know, they've got to utilize them.
I'm turning into a Pittsburgh show, but real quick, I was analyzing the lineups like the Dodgers, the Phillies, and I'm sitting there going, okay, where would you put O'Neal Cruz? Would he be even a DH? Because he's not going to play shortstop because Trey Turner in Philly. He's not going to beat out bats at shortstop, and he's not going to, or Gavin Lux, or so. I don't know. Like, I looked at this team and I'm like, this team would not have very many starters on good teams. But you know, baseball is a game where you got to play, just like the Guardians are playing right now. They're playing run ball, where you just hit and run like hell, and you hope Ramirez is able to carry this team with a home run.
Yeah, I think too. You're seeing Stephen Vogt make the best use out of guys by taking advantage of platoons, by trying to maximize the roster as best he can, which is something that Tito was always good at as well. Last couple of years, it seemed like Tito didn't really want to do the platoons as much for whatever reason, so used to be very active with that. So it's nice to see that because, you know, like today, you know, depending on the day, you might be like, why is David Fry batting third and why is Ramon Laureano batting fifth? But both of them really hit left-handed pitchers very well. So if you have them batting against left-handers, you feel pretty good about that. But I think overall, I mean, Stephen Kwan, Jose Ramirez, Andres Jimenez, and Josh Naylor, I think those 4 could start for basically any team. You give a certain playoff team might have a better option at one of those positions, probably not than Ramirez, I think there are very few second basemen in baseball better than Andres Jimenez. But I think that there are, I think those 4 could probably start for any playoff team.
Well, when you took a look at small market, mid market teams, I mean, the best you could hope for now is just what you described. You get 3 or 4 guys that can start just about everywhere, and the rest of it is let the chips fall where they may. It's not like the 90s where you had top to bottom just about basically all-star at every position. You're not going to see that ever again in a small market team. It's just not going to happen.
And it doesn't have to happen to, make it pretty far. You look at the Diamondbacks from last year, and
Right.
a couple things fall differently. They could have won the World Series, and it's definitely the same thing. I mean, they're off, even as bad as Cleveland was offensively last season. If you take more like the 2022 Guardians and the 2023 Guardians and something in the middle, that's kind of who the Diamondbacks were last year. And all it takes is you just get a couple guys hot in the playoffs and a couple of veterans you can rely on, like Tommy Pham was for them. And next thing you know, you make a run. So that's basically what small market teams have to hope for.
I don't even think Tommy Pham signed right now, is he?
I don't think he did sign, no.
Who was that?
Tommy Pham. I don't think he's playing anywhere right now. That's been a big name. He's just been a solid player. I won't say great player, but he's just solid. He's going to give you what you need, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need, and the Guardians are doing things creatively to try to get the talent where they need. I think you can see that with Tyler Freeman playing center field, and he's really, really played very well there defensively. And if you can do that and get a guy who makes as much contact and as much good contact as he does playing center, and he can play an above average center field, then all of a sudden you have, yourself a 3 to 4 win player in that spot. And that's a really big deal for the Guardians to find a player like that. So being creative and finding ways to fit everybody in, I think you'll see them get creative and get Kyle Manzardo in and Chase DeLauder. If both of those guys, really start to make a move in the minors, you'll see them get creative and find ways to fit them into the lineup too.
I don't have access to watch the games every day. I try to listen every day on Sirius because that's what I got. I do have the MLB app now that I can watch games a little bit. But the weird thing about the app, it doesn't work in my car, right? So, do you enjoy watching the run the bases, or would you guys rather watch the long ball?
I don't mind small ball, but I mean, unfortunately, to win, I think you got to hit home runs, obviously.
Yeah.
So, especially come playoff time, and that's kind of what they've run into. The last few times they made the playoffs. So, but it's a more entertaining product, running and moving runners over and doubles and stuff like that. So.
Home run derbies sells tickets. Yes, it wins games as well. You can win either way in small ball as well, but we're already second least amount of home runs in the major so far through 10 games, I think it is.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, last year was awful.
Yeah,
we were last, and the next team was like 40 home runs away, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you got Hedges in there batting. I think he's batting $125. He's just an automatic out, and so you're really going to bat with 8 people.
Wait, didn't Hedges get a hit today? I thought I heard he got a hit today.
Did he make contact?
I don't think so.
He had
I thought I heard he got a hit.
He had a
He might have fouled a couple off.
He had a bunt trying to move a runner over, and then the ump called him out. I didn't have the volume on, so I didn't know what was going on. I don't know if it was like catcher interference or something, but
after the game vote said that the ump said that it hit the bat twice. He bunted it and then it hit the bat again, which made it foul. And he got out. Now Hedges, and it was funny because Hamilton today was saying Hedges looks so much different than the last time he was here. He looks like he knows what he's doing at the plate.
Yeah,
and I just don't see it. Like he can track the ball, but he just can't do anything with it. Like if a guy can't throw strikes at all, Hedges will take a walk. But most guys know that all you have to do is get it anywhere, close enough to the plate, and you're going to get an out. So they do that. But yeah, I mean, he's such an amazing defensive catcher that you put up with it, especially when the rest of the lineup is doing what they are, and you put up with it, twice a week or whatever. But yeah,
Well,
yeah, Hammy was. I was listening to the ball game, and he said, "Well, Hedges, he's his approach at the plate is much better than in years past." And he went on for about 20 seconds and swing and a miss, struck him out.
That's exactly. Yeah, I was listening to that same portion. Yep. That's how it goes. Yep. Yeah.
But that's the benefit of having Freeman and center getting some hits.
Yeah.
You don't have Straw and Hedges next to each other.
Yeah.
2 automatic outs, every 3 innings. That's a wasted inning. So, but I mean, I like Hedges. He was clearly a huge leader in 2022, and I think they missed that a little bit last year. So,
and he is still a remarkable framer. He will steal strikes when guys pitch all the time. So, I mean, and also guys know that if they spike a ball in the dirt, he's absolutely going to block it every time. So, there were times last year where you'd see Clase or Bieber or those guys just not spike balls in the dirt. Everything's up because they didn't trust that Zunino or Gallagher could stop it, and or even Bo sometimes. And now they're like, well, I know Hedges is going to block whatever I throw, so they can feel free to bury a curveball in the dirt.
I am surprised how much Hedges has played over Bo. I mean, I feel like every time I watch, he's in. But I don't remember what game it was. Bo's having a real tough time catching. He missed 2. I think it was Minnesota, maybe the first game in Minnesota.
I think he had a rough game the last game in Minnesota too. Yeah, he's had a rough start to the season, and he'll be fine. He's a young guy, young catcher, but yeah, you definitely can see the difference between his abilities back there and Hedges. And there are a few catchers that are as good as Hedges, so you can still be a decent catcher. But yeah, he's had a rough start to the year.
See, I'm old school. You're a professional baseball player. You should be able to do both. You should be able to handle the pitching staff. You should be fairly good. You should be good to above average defensively, and you should be able to hit the doggone ball. And I don't get these. There's kind of these specialty players nowadays that they could do this, but they can't do the other things. And I mean, you're a professional ball player. I don't have any doubt he's a good defensive catcher and he can handle pitching staff. But come on, hitting it like when he was in Pittsburgh last year. What did he hit? $163. I mean, I'm not asking you to hit 300. Hit 2 1/4. But to go $1.50.
You figure it'd be better at the plate because he is able to see a 97-mile-an-hour fastball into his glove. He should be able to pick up going on the plate.
Just make contact.
I hear you.
That first game against Seattle when they played who's their good pitcher? I can't think of his name right now, but the first pitcher we played against Seattle, but
one of those
he threw 2 right by him, and then the next one was a slider that was like outside the other box, and Hedges swung on it. You just knew it was coming. He missed it by 2 feet.
See, I would just play the young kids, play Naylor, and let them go.
Yeah.
So I was curious, Quincy. I was curious that you brought it up, that why they had the guy batting 5th who's batting like 165, and you mentioned it because the lefty on lefty. I forget his name already. But is that going to be a common theme?
Yeah, I think they'll use the platoon option quite a bit. Yeah, Laureano is definitely a guy who should pretty much only start against left-handed pitching. I think over the past 2 years, he's been about 20% below average against right-handers, but about 20% above average against left-handers. So yeah, you can maximize guys that way, and he's pretty good defensively. So if you get him in right field against left-handed pitching, you feel pretty good. Fry can hit both righties and lefties, but I think David Fry is probably a kind of guy who can really hit lefties very well. So I suspect you'll see him at first base, DH, or catcher against basically every left-hander they face, and you'll feel pretty good about that.
I mean, right now it goes Quan at 383. I didn't see his stats for today, but apparently it went up from yesterday, so he probably went 3 for 4. I'm guessing to bring it up to the 383. I didn't see all the stats there.
I think he did go 3 for 4.
So is he on pace for Teddy Williams or what?
Quan's had a great start to the year. That's been great to see.
But then it goes Jimenez 324. Then it goes Naylor or Josh Naylor at 303. Rocchio. Is it Ruscio or Rocchio?
It's Rocchio
At 273, and then all of a sudden Ramirez goes to 261, and then it drops under 100 in the 100.
Some of that is because guys aren't qualified hitters. Like Fry's batting 333, but he hasn't had enough at bats to qualify. So
Yeah, same with Brennan. Brennan's 296, but he's only he's been in 8 games.
And a lot of it's only been 10 games, so it's hard to say too much. Like Tyler Freeman is batting under 200, and that's not going to happen. He's going to bat. Tyler Freeman will be 275 when it's all said and done, 275, 300 batting average. But he, he's adjusting to being an everyday center fielder, and got to give him a little time to figure that out. But he'll be fine with the bat. And the rest of them probably it's not that much different than what it will be.
John, you want to give us a score real quick?
Score of what?
The game.
UConn? It's commercial right now. I think UConn's up 4 or 5. Hold on. I'm rewinding. UConn's up 5 with 340.
Did lose like 3-2.
Yeah, that's overtime.
But we did get a point. I didn't see it went to overtime.
Yeah, they got the point.
Paid more attention than I did. So we got a point. So that means we're tied, and we should be back in the playoff picture. Anyway, you guys are not Pittsburgh Penguins fans. 2 on the bottom.
I'm season ticket. Yeah.
John, any Penguin fan? Any Pittsburgh love at all?
For what? The Penguins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what place are they in.
Well, they're fighting for the last wild card spot. Well, the good news. The good news, being a Cleveland guy, the goalie's from Cleveland. He's from Parma, Alex Nedeljkovic, and the neat
sounds
thing.
Like he's from Parma.
Yeah, yes, he is. And when the Browns played the Steelers and beat Pittsburgh on that field goal, in the post-game press conference, he wore a Myles Garrett jersey in the press conference. So, gotta like it.
That probably went over well.
I'm just gonna say congratulations on getting Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year.
My Pittsburgh love would be that PNC is my second favorite Major League ballpark, and I've been to 23 different parks, so it's my second favorite. So that's my Pittsburgh love.
What's your one?
Number one is Oracle Park in San Francisco. San Francisco's park is hard to beat. It's got a lot of character, and you can look out and see the bay, and it's hard to beat that one.
I wish the Dolans, instead of worrying about putting blue seats in there, would go get a few bats and a couple of pitchers.
Yeah.
That whole section on third base, huh?
What's
I think
that?
the city's
I
paying for it.
meant at Progressive. They ripped out that whole section. They ripped out all the glass. And
Yeah, the
all the
Terrace
seating.
Club is gone, and I
It's
think
a
they. I was
3-year
listening to
project.
Hamilton describe it. Yeah, and they got rid of those things in upper deck right field, made a kind of a party area up there. The areas that they had blocked off.
Yeah, they got rid of the shipping containers, and it's another they're trying to accommodate for the young people that don't know how to just sit and watch baseball, so they just want to stand there and drink and
Mhm.
do their thing. So that's the new age coming in. So they gotta try to get people in the door. But real quick, I'm going back to this hockey stuff. This wild card's a mess over here. You got Detroit, Pittsburgh, Washington, and Philly all like one game apart.
Yeah, Phillies tanked. Phillies tanked, and then the Penguins actually were 9 points back just a couple weeks ago, and now this game Thursday night against Detroit at home is going to be a biggie.
And it looks like my Columbus Blue Jackets are doing pretty good this year.
Horrible. We're absolutely embarrassing. I listened to the game yesterday in the car, and in 17 seconds after the start of the game, they were losing.
Nice.
It's like, what are they doing?
Are you a hockey guy at all?
Oh no, sorry, I only have so much bandwidth, but I try to check the Blue Jackets standings here and there.
I mean, I think NHL playoffs are one of the best things ever.
Love it.
They're really
Sure,
entertaining.
right? Yeah.
But in terms of watching all season, I can't it's too much going on.
It's just
Is that maybe because there's like no home team up there, guys? Is that it could? I mean,
I'm sure.
you're at if you ask me about basketball, obviously the Cavs are the closest team to me, and I don't think I've occasionally caught a glimpse of it, only because of FanDuel. But I mean, I don't really go out of my way to watch basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it. I mean, like Mark was saying about 1994, I was 11 years old, 12, 13, and I would listen to all the Indians games on the radio. I listened to all the Cavs games on the radio, and the Browns actually weren't around there, of course, for a few years. But those are the teams I fell in love with because I could always listen to them on the radio. My parents didn't really have the money to pay for cable, so I just listened to all those on the radio. And then I actually picked to like the Chicago Bears because the Browns weren't around, and I would send away for the Chicago Bear Report, and it would come in the mail and tell me about the Bears. So anyway, I'm just saying, I guess it depends on what you're where you are and what strikes your interest.
I'm like,
it's funny. You go to near our house, the live casino, and if the Penguins aren't playing and the Cavs are on the Jumbotron in there, and which is neat, watching the Cavs, but they've been tanking lately too. So it's
those
getting
injuries.
aggravated. Yesterday was embarrassing, losing a 26-point lead on the road, and they're limping to the finish line.
Yep.
The injuries really got them, and I think I agree with 95% of Cavs fandom that they need to make a coaching change because Biggerstaff doesn't seem like you want to see your guys fight and you want to see your guys put in the right position to succeed, and I don't think he really produces either one of those things.
Yeah, I think he's solid. He's just not the coach. He's not the guy to get him to the next level.
That's a good way to put it. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's made him respectable again, and he just can't take it any further.
But that's like the NBA, though. There's always coaches like that their job is, and that's all they ever amount to, is just to get a team from tanking or awful to somewhat competitive. And then now you need a better coach to raise it to the level. But if Mitchell's going to leave, I don't know if they're going to get to that level.
He seems hurt, and I don't know what it is with our teams, Browns, Cavs, and Indians. It's just the injuries are just nonstop.
I'm surprised Vegas is a wild card. Aren't they pretty good?
Vegas.
Yeah. Wow.
Vegas,
That West
Vegas
is
is wild.
pretty tough.
They're the last wild card.
That really shocked me a little bit. We're well off topic, boys. It usually happens on my show. So, Mark, you're going Thursday to the Penguin game.
I don't think I'll be there Thursday, but I might go to one of the last, because they have three more home games. I might go to one of them, but it won't be this Thursday.
You would have been
Yeah.
there.
I got a baseball question.
Go ahead.
Do you guys think, so Jimenez is off to a pretty good start. Do you guys think the World Baseball Classic had anything to do with him starting slow and having a mediocre year last year?
I guess what you'd worry about is if he got hurt. I don't know if he was hurt last year, but he was coming off a hand injury, so maybe it's possible that he started off a little bit too early and maybe had some stuff lingering, or that maybe he got into a bad habit from the World Baseball Classic. Just seemed like he was always like half a step off of where he needed to be last season until the very end of the year when he took off like September. He looked like the Jimenez we saw from 2022. So it's so tough to say with a young player because like what Jimenez now is only like 24 years old. So it's just one of those things with like those young guys, they can have that experience of just having a year where they're half a step off. But he obviously put a lot of work in this offseason, as he always does. Even like he does all his interviews now in English, which I don't mind. Obviously, being a baseball player is incredible, so I don't expect anybody to learn a second language. But he put a lot of work into making it so that he can do that too. And I think he just showed that he really cared about things this offseason, and it's starting to pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you could put a finger on it, that was the cause of anything. I mean, it could be, but it's just hard to determine that. And I would agree with you, depending, and because, coaching, is it going to be different? And, maybe they're saying, hey, do this instead of that. And, that's complete opposite of what somebody on the staff is preaching. It's just hard to say until you get a little deeper into it. But I don't know. I mean, just pure reps, unless you're burned out or something, I don't know if that would have made a difference. You see it all the time where, a guy that was red hot or doing very well, and then the next year just, nothing goes right. And then, they just have to rebound. It's just every year is a little bit different. And, hopefully he can play consistently this year. The Indians don't have, I'm calling them the Indians again. Guardians are, they're going to have to really be, consistent throughout the year, even though it's it's not the best division in baseball, but they're just going to have to, weather the storms that come their way with injuries. They just don't have the depth that you look at, in the Dodgers or the Yankees. You look at some of the Astros, the Rangers. They're not going to have, that kind of depth. And I just feel that, if they can go out and play every day, play the way they've come out of the chute here, they've got a chance to win the division. We said that last year on this show too. And then, they kind of got way off track with, tons of injuries, people just not performing to expectation, but they were coming off that playoff run. It's a different year. They've started this is the best. I forget what the stat they threw out there. This is their best start in many, many years. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, I heard that. Hamilton was talking about that on the radio today.
Yeah.
I forget it.
I thought they said 84 or something like that.
Was it 84?
Something like that. I saw it on TV.
Let's hope not. I think they lost over 100 games last year.
I thought that too. When I saw the stat, I'm like, weren't they really bad that year? But
it's funny. When I was a freshman at Edinburgh University in '85, no, maybe it was '86. I don't know. It was one of those years. But I got the Sports Illustrated in the mail, and it was Corey Snyder and Joe Carter on the cover. And says the Indians are going to win the World Series, and I said, hallelujah, amen. You know, finally and then they lost 106 games or something like that.
SI Jinx.
Yeah. I still have that Sports
Oh,
Illustrated.
man.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Otani was on the cover of the MLB preview, and then 2 days later, he's Pete Rose.
I was gonna ask you guys, because I've been asking everyone this question. What do you guys think about this whole betting thing? Would you just open the door? If
I think it's going to come with the territory of opening up betting. You know, so, you know, I mean, I don't know how many states have betting, but I think probably more do than don't. And this is going to be a thing. I mean, I don't know all the details. He didn't bet, you know, there's nothing with baseball, right? So, but maybe he's like Michael Jordan. He's got a betting problem. Who knows?
I haven't followed it that close, so I really can't comment. But yeah, I would agree with you.
I think obviously there's some weird things about that story, but it seems to make sense from what I've seen that his interpreter was in over his head, and he handled pretty much everything for Otani. So he kind of tried to make what his problems were with the gambling go away, and eventually they had to deal with that. It makes sense to me, but obviously it's something to keep in mind. It's funny to have a big controversy about baseball's most famous player, and like all these baseball shows that are talking about it are like brought to you by FanDuel and brought to you by, you know, it's just funny to see that happening. And you know, it's going to get tricky. It'll be tricky eventually. One thing that I always think about is like the Guardians very famously will not tell people when guys are hurt. Like Jimenez broke his hand and basically nobody knew about it until the end of the season. He played like a month with a broken hand or whatever. And they do that kind of thing all the time. Jose tore a ligament in his thumb and just kept playing through it. Didn't hear about it till the end of the year. And man, I feel like eventually they're going to get in trouble for that, because what if you're betting on the game and you have no idea that an injury that a team is well aware of is out there? It just feels like leagues are going to have to step in to say, you've got to make this information public, because if you are aware of that, like people message me stuff out of the blue sometimes, you could go out and place a bet with that inside information, and it's just not fair to everybody else. So I think it's something we really will have to deal with over the years, is figuring out the tentacles of the leagues being involved with the gambling partners. The money's there, so they're going to be involved, but they got to figure it out.
You guys are probably too young to remember, but back in the day, you know, they said with all the gambling and all that, oh, they'll never have professional sports in Las Vegas. And, you know, look at it now. You got football, you got hockey, soon to be baseball. You know, they're talking about NBA.
Did you guys see when the A's are going to play until they're done building the stadium?
Yeah, Sacramento.
Yeah, did you guys see the stadium?
I didn't see the stadium.
It's a minor league stadium.
Like
Well, they'd still
5,000.
draw more. They'd still draw better than they are right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what was there, 2,200 people?
That opening day screenshot was amazing. No one in it. I mean, that stadium's so big, and there was no one in there.
Yeah, they were all disguised as seats. Yeah,
Maybe 3,500 people, they said.
yeah.
Maybe.
So they could fit that in a minor league ballpark.
Right.
At least the seats were all the same color.
Yeah, that's good.
We have
Hey,
two
they're
different
working-
color seats right now.
They're working on getting all blue. All right. I did hear him talking about that today. It will be possibly done by the end of the season. All the matching seats.
No,
I'm
it's
pretty
not.
sure. I'm pretty sure that the fans would have still sat in the green seats if they had some better players and Dolan actually went out and spent a little more money. I don't think they really care if it's blue, purple, green, red, whatever.
Just wanna
Let's
see
invest in
winning,
the team.
Winning solves everything, that's for sure.
Sure does. Sure does. Oh my. Yeah. I was thinking of my fantasy teams where I've made the playoffs and then I lost in the first round in 3 teams this year. 3 leagues this year. Oh man. Um, Phoenix. Yes.
You
There's,
caught one.
there's the
There's your
dog
camera.
showing up.
There's my dog. She makes every video somehow, some way, and then she ran away once she made the screen.
Nice.
So Quincy, how many games do you try to go to a year?
I get the 6 right now, so I go to at least 6. I usually end up going to around 10.
I want to know you're a season ticket holder to the stadium across the street, but how many games do you try to go to?
Me?
Yeah.
I usually go to like probably about, I don't know, maybe five a year. I don't know, it depends. I mean, I'm kind of like I like to go like on a Tuesday night or like a Wednesday night when it's kind of not as many people there. But I'm not a big weekend guy. Too much stuff going on, or Dollar Dog Night. That's pure chaos. But like a Tuesday night, I kind of enjoy going, just sitting there and watching the game.
Do you guys find it harder to get the games now that they start at 6:10, and they did move the Yankee start time for Friday to 7:10? Do you guys find this like 6 o'clock start time garbage? Getting out of
I think
work,
I'm used to it. They've been doing this here for, I don't know, it's probably been like 4 or 5 years now. I mean, if not longer. So kind of used to it. Like they do 6 o'clock starts until the kids are done with school, and then they eventually go back to 7. So
oh,
I don't mind it.
Pittsburgh did not. They moved it to 6:40 all
Oh,
year,
6:40.
except for Saturday games and the Sunday games. Obviously, 1:35 unless they're on the highlight of the ESPN game.
I like it because I like to take my kids. So I take my 4 and 5-year-old, and then I can, if I get them there, we see the game, and then we can usually get back, and they can get in bed before right around 10 o'clock, and I that's great. I think that's amazing. So, guess it all depends on where you are in life.
Mark?
Yeah, when you get older like me, you can't stay up past 10 o'clock. So, but yeah, I mean, the Indians have done that for years, just starting at 6:10, especially when school's in session. And now you got the games, shortened with the clocks. So, say that's 2 hours and 42 or 2.5. I mean, you're getting out of there at 8:30, 8:45. Yeah, you're home by 9:15, 9:30.
Yeah.
Kids are in bed.
And
Now, go ahead, John.
they even do that in September. They
Mhm.
started bumping it back to like 6:10 when the kids start going back to school and stuff. So yeah, I don't mind the 6 o'clock starts. I'm also in the same boat. I have a hard time staying up past 10. It's past my bedtime right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're at 10:18 right now, and yeah, so everyone's past their bedtime. All right, I'm holding
Yeah.
it up. I'm holding it accountable.
I had to smoke a victory cigar before the show to keep me awake for a while.
So I guess the next question is, now with the pitch count, do you guys find it better to stay home and you get to enjoy the game a little bit longer instead of spending $50, 60, $70 and missing 2 innings waiting in line? Or Quince, you said you take your kids to the game. Can they sit and watch all 9 innings, or do you need to buy all the crap?
No, I don't spend that much there. I mean, I'll pack food because you can bring food into the stadium, and then I usually let them pick. If they want to get an ice cream or if they want to get a pretzel, then I'll buy one thing for them. But I don't go and buy them toys and stuff. They have a clubhouse, a kids clubhouse, which is pretty well done, so they like to go there. But yeah, they certainly won't sit for more than 4 or 5 innings. We'll see how it goes this year. Maybe they'll do a little bit better, but they're young to do it. It's just kind of teaching them the rhythms of the game and getting them where they love going.
Teach them how to keep books.
Yeah, well, I like to keep score when I go, but it'll probably be another year or two before I can do that again.
John, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question on what?
Would you
On the
rather
pitch clock.
go to the game? Would you rather go
If
to the
I go to the
game?
game, I sit there for 9 innings and don't move. But I also don't have any Rugrats to deal with. But in terms of going, I mean, like I said, I go a handful of games a year, maybe 5 to 10. It's all right. I mean, when I'm at home, sometimes I feel like I miss a ton if I just walk away for a little bit. Next thing you know, it's like, 3-4 innings later, and I'm like, just made dinner or doing whatever I'm doing, and sometimes it's going by too fast. But in terms of when I'm there, it depends. If I'm sitting there watching the game, no big deal. If I go for like a social thing, like maybe a group of friends go and we kind of just stand by the bar, next thing you know, it's seventh inning and you have no idea what's going on. So, but either way, I mean, I don't mind the pitch clock and I don't mind the games ending a little bit earlier.
Mark?
I'm good with just I'm a pretty simple guy. I go in there and I want to be there before the first pitch, and I leave when the last pitch is complete. But give me a couple bags of peanuts, a DC, a Diet Coke, and I'm good to go.
I was really looking forward to a cool Beaver matchup this weekend because the Yankees are in town early. But obviously, we're not going to get either one.
No.
Is that their only visit this year?
Yes, sir. I don't
Second
know
year in a row they visited in April. It's kind of a bummer. It was just early last year as well.
I was just about to say that. Second year in a row.
Yeah, I'm sure the Guardians appreciate when the Yankees show up in July because you get better crowds.
You don't think it'll be a sellout for the weekend?
I doubt it. I mean, Saturday maybe, but I don't think so.
I think the weather's supposed to be nice this weekend. So
yeah,
nice. So I mean, there should be a lot of people at the ballpark.
Summer's just a better time to go, and the fact they're playing so well, and the weather will be nice, and it's the Yankees. Maybe they'll sell out Saturday, but I'd be surprised if they sell out all three.
The Yankees aren't doing that good either.
Well, the Yankees are killing it right now, aren't they?
Yeah, first place.
Oh, are they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're 9-2. Are they 9-2?
You got to shake out of your hockey malaise here.
9-2.
The two times I got to watch them, they lost.
Well, you should watch them more because I'd like them to lose more.
I hope they lose.
Oh man, I didn't realize that. So
the Mets,
do we just?
But the Mets are 3-6. That's
Mets are struggling. I think Lindor's batting under 100.
I know Lindor hit a home run the other day. I do know that.
Might have been his first hit. Yeah, he's had a rough start to the year.
Lindor's batting .083.
All right.
With one home run, right?
One homer, one double, and 3 hits.
I love it.
So he's got like 36 at bats to be batting .083.
Yep.
Love it.
What are you, like Rain Man over here? He's got a negative .3 WAR.
Those early season numbers get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He never was he was always a late bloomer too. Or is he turned into like Austin Hedges, only good on defense?
I mean, I feel like that Mets team should be good every year, and they're not.
Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Lindor,
Marte's on the team.
Marte's in center, right or left now? Yeah, they got this Alvarez kid who's pretty good. He's batting cleanup. But yeah, they should be way better than they are.
How's that dude that the closer is he doing? Is he better?
He had a rough go. The one
Diaz or
game,
something?
Edwin
he's
Diaz.
back. Edwin Diaz is back, but he had a couple. He had a couple of good games, then he had a rough one. So
Well, boys, do we have anything else to go on with this Cleveland show? I know it's an hour and we're all old as shit and we're ready to hit the hay here. It's after 10 o'clock. Mark, you're on. I guess you're on like a mini vacation, right? 'Cause you're away from home. Is that what you got? Do you call it that yet, or what?
What's that? No, I wouldn't say it's a vacation. I'm working and smoking cigars. That's about and doing podcasts. So that's a good thing. But no, the Cleveland scene, it's interesting being a Cleveland guy living in Pittsburgh, but again, I don't mind the Pirates as long as they're not playing us, and I don't mind the Penguins as long as they're not playing the Blue Jackets. But I just I thought the Cavaliers would be a lot further along at this point if they can go back and play the way they did in January. That'd be a fun playoff, but they're just slip sliding away, and I'm excited the way the Guardians have opened the season here. So they got some energy. They got a great start. Can't ask for anything really better at this point. If they can continue on, and they're again with the division, you should be in the division race the whole year. There's no reason why not to, unless they get a barrage of injuries like they did last year.
and they just got to keep winning series. So far, they've won every series. So if you just keep winning series, the next thing you know, you end up in the playoffs, and then you just try to win series there.
And that's all you can do is get hot at the right time, and you just need to get into the playoffs.
I think we'll really know where we stand kind of after the weekend with the Yankees.
I always say you can't really tell anything until Memorial Day. Any baseball team, when you hit Memorial Day, then you can start to say, it looks like this is kind of who we are. And then, of course, by the All-Star break, you have a pretty darn good determination. It's just 162 games. Like, even if they get swept by the Yankees this weekend, that's only going to be a tenth of the season. So you can't really say much about a team knowing a tenth of the season.
I know, but it's always like a little bit of a challenge just to play the number one team though too. Now that I know the Yankees, I need to watch so we win.
Well, I'll be honest with you. You look at the schedule. So you got 2 more games against the White Sox, who are 1-9. Yeah, you got the Yankees for the weekend series. Then you go on the road. You've got 7 games against Boston, 4 on the road, 3 at home, 3 at home against the A's, who are a AAA team. And then you get into the Braves on the road, and you get the Astros on the road. So, I mean, you get the White Sox 2 more times. Boston's had a pretty good start as well. But, are they that good? We'll find out. And the A's should be 3, those are pretty much lobbed up there. They should be able to take at least 2 out of 3 there.
I agree.
Yeah, playing the Red Sox and the Astros and the Yankees will be a good. I mean, it is like you said, it is a good way to kind of see where you are as a team. It's just all part of it. Once you get to around that 40, 50 game mark, you start to take a look at how they've done overall, and you beat the teams you're supposed to beat. You hang in there against the good teams, and if by that point you have a pretty good clue of who they are. So just kind of enjoy the ride to Memorial Day. That's what I always tell people, and see what you got.
Let's just win some series and move on from there. Because right now, if we just win the series, we're going to be above 500 by a good bit.
Yep. Can't win the division in April, but you could lose it. So.
And last year, the big problem was they kept losing series to bad teams early on, and you're like, well, sure, everybody's like Tito's teams will turn it around at the end of the year, but if you don't beat the teams you should beat, it's awfully hard to turn things around when the schedule gets hard. And we saw they kind of fell apart. So got to beat the teams you need to beat.
I agree. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up here real quick. Quincy, how people get a hold of you, buddy? I thank you for coming on.
If anybody's on Twitter, you can find me at Quincy Wheeler 1. And if anybody wants to follow Guardians blog, I'm the site runner for coveringthecorner.com. And we have a lot of good young writers there who are working on covering the Guardians, something new for you every day. And I have a couple podcasts that I do, Disgusting Baseball Pod, in reference to how people call the Guardians baseball style disgusting. We do something in there every week where we analyze something about the team. So thanks.
John?
If on Twitter I'm at jmeets2. I'm not super active on there, but if you want to find me there, that's where I'm at. Other than that, I'm a fan just watching the game and just want to talk some ball.
I know how to get a hold of you. Mark?
Same thing, Twitter at IndiansPA95. Enjoy being on Twitter and catching up with all the latest news and sports, and but appreciate you having me on. And let's enjoy the second half of the championship game.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, we get an update on the score real quick or no?
I think it's still halftime.
Yeah, they're about to start the second half. UConn's up 6. 36-30.
I have Purdue.
I think.
I have
And
Purdue.
Edie's got 16 of their 30 points.
Yeah.
Well, I thank everyone for coming on. Hopefully we can rerun this back here, maybe around Memorial Day, like Quincy said, when we get to really look into the future here, see how this team's doing. If you guys want to rerun it back, let me know. I'm always open for it, obviously. Or if you want to do it, come on, talk weekly, whatever. I'm in. Anyway, I am Sports Talking It. You can find us on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter there. You can find me on Twitter at Driving to the Top Production. You can also get us on the YouTube channel, Driving to the Top Production. And I thank everyone, and everybody have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.